Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunati Ravanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Ratha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Ratha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashishimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantarashimam Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees, oh, glories to the assembled devotees, oh, glories to the assembled devotees, oh, glories to Shishiguru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 63, Lord Krishna fights with Banasura. Text 30 to 32. Text number 30. Ityukto chutan anamya gato maheshwaro jvara banastu rathan arudha pragat yotsyan janardanam ityukto chutan anamya gato maheshwaro jvara banastu rathan arudha. Pragajotsyam Janardanam Ityukto Chutan Anamya Gato Maheshwaro Jwara Banastu Rathan Arudha Pragajotsyam Janardanam. Please chant. Iti thus Uktaha addressed Achyutam to Krishna, the infallible Supreme Lord. Anamya, bowing down. Gataha, went. Maheshwaraha, of Lord Shiva. Jwaraha, the fever weapon. Banaha, Banasura. Two, but Ratham, his chariot. Arudaha, riding. Pragat, came forward. Jotsyam, intending to fight. Janardanam, Lord Krishna. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus addressed, the Maheshwara Jwara bowed down to the infallible Lord and went away. But Banasura then appeared, riding forth on his chariot to fight Lord Krishna. Text number 31. Tato baho sahasrena nana juddha daroshura mumocha paramakrudho banans chakra juthe nripa. Translation: carrying numerous weapons in his 1,000 hands, O king, the terribly infuriated demon shot many arrows at Lord Krishna, the carrier of this weapon. Text number 32. Tasya syato stranyak shakrich chakrena shurane mina chicheta bhagavan bahu Shaka iba manashpate. Translation: as Bana continued hurling weapons at him, the Supreme Lord began using his sharp chakra and cut off Banasura's arm as if they were three branches. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Roma Pada Swami Itina. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itina Mine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, Banasura is back after being utterly humiliated and defeated previously by Lord Krishna, so much that the only way he was able to escape, what does his mother have to go to the extreme resource of showing in the middle of the battlefield, completely naked and with her hair undone, we heard that, in order to distract Krishna and give the space for Banasura to escape. So even after that, I mean, you can only imagine a proud Kshatriya with these demoniac qualities of having this conception of himself that no one was greater than him, having to fled the battlefield, which he was boasting. When we hear the beginning of the pastime, he was beating on his chest with 1,000 arms, telling Lord Shiva that either you fight me, because if you don't fight me, there's no one equal to me. And the only person that I see that is suitable to fight with me is you. The very same person who gave me this boon of having this powerful 1,000 arms. You're the only one who can fulfill my desire for fighting. This very same person who have this conception of, superior supremacy, have to fled the battlefield with that type of, that his mother, mama, have to come and rescue me. And of course, these demons understand that part of the pride is that they're the supreme protectors of everyone. If you kiss my ring, then I will protect you. That's, just as Krishna, the supreme Lord, he promised protection to those who fully surrender unto him. The demons have the same type of mentality. They consider themselves supreme. And as supreme, those who come under that accept my supremacy, I will provide you protection. So to have his mother having to act that way in order to save him, I mean, it must be utterly humiliating for this fellow. And you may think common sense, after having to face that type of defeat, because Krishna was all in the battlefield that ensued, Krishna was ready now to finish him. That's why the mother have to go through that. It is, it is explained that all his weapons, anything that he was using was destroyed by Krishna. So he was defeated. He was defeated. And here he is again, coming to fight Krishna. Back with, full conviction. So this is a very telling type of trait that is there. It's a personality trait that, especially for a particular type of personalities that are not able to accept and recognize failures or defeats. And we see that very common. I mean, right now in the US politics, we're seeing that with the previous, president. The whole thing is that he was not able to accept defeat. And then a whole series of dramatic events occurred because of this incapacity to accept defeat. And then we see in so many situations that covers a huge arch depending on how extreme this type of demoniac mentality is, or this sort of, let's see, let's put it, the term is like a demoniac materialism. How intense that is, depending on the intensity of that, then there is different symptoms of this very same principle of not being able to face something that that challenges the conception that one have of oneself. There is a term that is used in modern psychology that is called cognitive. Uh, what is it? Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. You hear that, Chandra Prabhu? Cognitive dissonance. Dissonance. That is, it doesn't match the sound. So it's something that when the conception that you have, or the ideas that you have, or the particular views that you have doesn't match the actual reality. So it creates a dissonance. And then this cognitive dissonance, there is a mechanism that is there to eliminate the dissonance, because the dissonance create a conflict, internal conflict, that challenges your reality. And therefore, you have to diminish that by this cognitive, mechanism, and then being able to rationalize something that makes sense with the conception of self that you have. So it's something that happens in many situations, in so many different levels, according to how conditioned we are to a particular, and the attachment that we have to a particular conception of life. So when you go to this extreme, fanatic, materialistic, demoniac type of mentality, then this mechanism have to take place in order to maintain that idea of superiority that these demons have. And then we see that at play. It's not possible. It's not possible to accept this defeat. And it becomes, actually, it's just not something that is that you try to fake. You really don't accept that as a reality, that you could be defeated. So therefore, in general, what you do, or what a person with this type of character traits do, is you start to rationalize and create some external explanations of why this circumstance takes place. So then, you know, I may have been, yeah, that the reason I have to experience that defeat is because my chariot driver was, is useless, or my horses were, they're not good, or the weapons that I was given, by my armory were defective, or something like that. You rationalize. So therefore, now let me grab the right things, and then I be there's no way that I can be defeated. It's just so that type of rationale, happens. So, and then we have here in the pastime the contrast of two of these individuals. One that was able to accept the defeat, and the other one that is not able to accept the defeat. And both of them have this conception that I'm invincible. One is the Shiva Jwara, and the other one is Banasura. Both of them utterly defeated, but one was able to recognize, the other was not. And then the one that was able to recognize that and surrender to Krishna, that was the action, you know. So the Shiva Jwara, although thinking itself invincible weapon, when it becomes defeated, immediately the cognitive process was, here's someone that is supreme, and then let me surrender to that. So you come to that position of understanding Krishna is supreme, and therefore I must surrender. So Shiva Jwara went through that process. Banasura was utterly defeated, and his cognitive process was, no, no, I'm supreme. It's impossible that this Krishna can defeat me. I'm supreme. So some circumstances took place that, that I correcting now, and I'm back in the fight. I'm not surrendering to Krishna. I'm supreme. So elements that are there, the Shiva Jwara is, and look at this also, both of them are followers of Lord Shiva. Both of them are disciples in one sense, or their superior was Lord Shiva. So both of them are in the same circumstances, but you see how it goes into different paths. So the relation of the Shiva Jwara with Lord Shiva, and the relationship of Banasura with Lord Shiva. Well, we saw that. So the Shiva Jwara is submissive and totally connected with Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva's desire. Banasura challenges and derides Lord Shiva. In other words, you have the Guru Aparat taking place, and with Guru Aparat, with that type of mentality, there is no capacity of understanding or advancing. In other words, the materialistic conception is impossible to break. It's like something like this. You have a blind person, and the blind person is proud of their blindness. It's believed that his blindness is something that have to be paraded for. It's a wonderful thing. So how can he ever be cured of blindness? So you need to be aware of your condition and your difficulties. To be, you have to come to that conclusion that actually, no, I'm not what I think I am. And then you have a chance to be to be cured or to be a help. So this is the situation with Manasura. So it's interesting because it's all about personality trait, and Krishna explains that in the 60th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. There's two different type of persons, and these personality traits, one is divine, one is demoniac. So the demoniac personality then is analyzed. The traits of the demoniac personality is analyzed very nicely by Krishna and then expanded by our Vaishnavacharyas. And it's just very interesting, to understand, because the fact is that it's explained that in Kali Yuga, we have this demoniac propensity as a dominant propensity, the dominant personality trait, and being sort of a Kali Yuga, you know, citizen. We grew and we growing in this Kali Yuga environment. Therefore, this demoniac influence, these demoniac traits, are very much part of our reality. And so much influence we have with that. We have to grow with us, that type of thing. So we have to deal in Kali Yuga with that type of influence. And the whole process that Krishna is giving us as a Yuga Dharma is to help us, give us the most powerful means to help conditioned souls become free from those propensities, those demoniac propensities. But they're there. It's a reality that we have to face, that those traits are, part of our makeup as we grow, in this Kali Yuga. So it's a very important thing to consider and to understand that because these unwanted things are there, we have to take up the process that is being provided by Krishna to become free from these things. So we do that how? Krishna's process. You come to a spiritual authority, to a tattvadarshi, to someone who have an understanding of this truth and can teach it to you. So so the connection with the spiritual master is there, and through those proper connections, then we naturally, our path will lead to, just like the Shiva Jwara, to surrender to Krishna. So it's natural. It's a natural path. So, but if we don't, if we don't, if we still maintain that propensity, if we entertain that propensity, and that propensity becomes strengthened by association, if we start to associate with others that have that propensity, then we're finished. Then the path is this path of denial, this path. I mean, what Krishna says in the 16th chapter is that at the end you can end, in cast into very hellish situation in lower species of life, etc., etc. Krishna explains in the Gita. So it's important to have this. So I find it very fascinating, um, the analysis first that Krishna gives, and then the expansion that some of our Vaishnava, that our Vaishnavacharyas, Srila Prabhupada and other Vaishnavacharyas give us in their explanations and purpose. So I'm going to read some of them. So this is what Krishna says again of this demoniac personality traits. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. This idea of being lost to themselves, it can tell you a lot of the mentality, this sort of self conception of, I am so great. There's a there is a there is a study of right now of personality traits that have been very prominent. That is this narcissistic uh, type of personality traits that leads to these inflated ideas of self worth, and there's one that is called the extreme one is called what is it? There's a term for it. Um, Grandiose narcissist. Grandiose, you know, is such an inflated self-worth. And there is see there's some description of this. Yes, it's overt self-enhancement, denial of weakness, intimidating demands of entitlement, and the valuation of people that threaten self-esteem. These are some of the characteristics of these grandiose narcissistic personality traits. And those are the people that absolutely can accept any type of responsibility for failure, and what to speak of being defeated or something like that. Um, Here are some of the things that I explain of this grandiose narcissistic. It's very competitive, dominant, and has an inflated positive self image regarding their own skills, abilities, and attributes. What's more, grandiose narcissists tend to have higher self esteem and inflated self worth. For the grandiose narcissist, defeat may compromise this inflated self worth. According to the research, these people find setbacks in achievement particularly threatening, and these setbacks could indicate a failure to keep up with the competition. Instead of accepting personal responsibility for failure and defeat, these individuals externalize blame, attributing personal setbacks and failure to the shortcomings of others. They do not or even cannot recognize and acknowledge the failure could be their own. So much absorbed in their self, they lost. It's like it's like being blind to reality, being blind to facts, and you just have to maintain the self-image that you have of yourself. Of I am so great, I'm so capable, I'm so this, I'm you know things. If I'm when I am in control, everything will be perfect, like that. And even when is something challenges that have to be eliminated at any cost. So it's quite something. So here's continue with Krishna's explanation. So again, lost in themselves and there's no intelligence, then engage in these acts that are meant to destroy stuff, destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac does illusion, always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. What is this impermanent? Impermanent is this in our devotional circles. We talk about this puja pratista and what is the other one? Uh, Puja, Pratista, and Lobha. No, no, and ay, of position, of adoration, and fame. We have to be aware of that. We have to be clearly because so all these things Krishna explained, these are all temporary things. Fame, infamy, this and that, happiness and distress. These are all temporary stuff. We're not engaging in devotional service to achieve these temporary things. We engage in devotional service to become an eternal, to regain our position as eternal servants of Krishna, to reawaken a natural love for God. So, this demoniac mentality is rather than connected or attached to transcendence, is looking for the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of their life, their anxiety is immeasurable, bound by the network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger. They secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. Now, here, this is the famous verse that describes the mentality and the thinking of these demoniac, you know, personality traits, people. The demoniac person thinks, quote, so much wealth do I have today. I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and I will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I should give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. End of quote. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance, thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions. They become strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down to health, to hell. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in the name only, without any rules and regulations. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Here's some of the comments of also our acharyas analyzing these personality traits that are very, very interesting. Here's Srila Madhavacharya. the Ramanujacharya. He say, this is the thinking, describing the thinking of the demonium. This land, sons, etc., I have gained solely by my ability and not by the help of any higher force. I should obtain this desire also myself and not by good fortune or any other means. This wealth gained solely by my ability is with me, and this also shall be mine through my own ability. So it's the conception that I am in control. And this thing of faith or higher authorities of that, forget about that. Do you have control? You are in control of your destiny. We often hear that from this Kali Yuga sort of culture. You are in control of your destiny. By your own abilities, you can build whatever you want, like that. So that's the idea. There's not such a thing. All these um, ideas of God or higher authorities, uh, just just use your abilities. This enemy has been slain by me, powerful as I am. I should slay other enemies also. I who am heroic and valiant. What is the use of the conception of destiny, which is only an imagination of weak people and leader understanding? Similarly, I am the Lord. I am independent, and I'm also the ruler of others. I am the enjoyer. I am the enjoyer through my own powers and not through good fortune. I am successful. I am successful by myself and not through any destiny. Likewise, I'm strong and happy by myself. I'm rich by myself. Who else is there in the world like me, gaining all glory with his own abilities? I myself shall sacrifice. I shall give alms. I shall rejoice. Thus they think, deluded by ignorance. Deluded by ignorance that they are themselves capable of offering sacrifice, gifts, etc., unaided by the grace of God. Here's another, interesting thing. This is also Srila. This is Srila Prabhupada. As far as promotion to the higher planetary system is concerned, he does not believe in performing yagyas of sacrifice. Demons think that they will manufacture their own process of yagya and prepare some machine by which they will be able to reach any higher planet. The best example of such demoniac man is Ravana. He offered a program to the people by which he will prepare a staircase so that anyone could reach the heavenly planets without performing sacrifices, such as are prescribed in the Vedas. Similarly, in the present age, some demoniac minds are striving to reach the higher planetary system by mechanical arrangements. These are examples of bewilderment, the result of that, without their knowledge, they're gliding towards hell. So, and I read a couple more. This is Srila Sridhar Swami from the Rudra Sampradaya. Lord Krishna explained that the perceptions of the demoniac stem from exceedingly impure minds and deranged intellects that are extremely limited and so materialistic oriented that they're only able to accept and believe what they can directly perceive by their mind and senses. They incorrigibly, that's how you say? Incorrigibly perform heinous and horrible deeds that lead to the degradation and destruction of all creation. This is another Acharya. He comments, their anxiety ends only at the time of disillusion. It never ceases because the rise and disillusion never ends. This much alone. For them, the highest goal to be achieved is the gratification of desires. And when this is just ruin, there, there arise anger. Hence the Lord said, devoted to their cravings and anger. So this this concept, this strong concept of self-worth, extreme concepts of self-worth that a personality such as Banasura have to have in order to go through the whole thing of now he's back in battle. He could have fled and, you know, and maintain the opulent, and just like the Shiva Jwara, you know, become a, um, surrender to Krishna or process the whole thing. Oh, actually, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the supreme. Here's someone that is greater. And then, oh, remember, actually, yes, when I was offending my spiritual master, he told me that his own master will come and utterly destroy my pride and put me in my position. And indeed, this just happened. So, Lord Shiva was correct. And, and this is the master of Lord Shiva. So let me surrender. And then he will have kept his 1,000 arms. But now he is facing Krishna, thinking, this first, whatever Lord Shiva say is just, gibberish. Doesn't have any sense because I'm the greatest. And although I got defeated, that's just, it's luck. This fellow just have, he was lucky. And, you know, there was some external circumstances. I'm correcting that. I'm back in action, and I'm going to fully defeat it. And now the result of that is that this fellow is going to lose 996 of his arms. And, so all his opulence will be lost. And finally, at the end, because of Lord Shiva's grace, he was able to, you know, come to become purified from that thing. So, yeah, these traits of narcissism, but more important, these are personality traits, some of the personality traits that are there. But although these conceptions of self and this particular type of mechanisms that we may have inbuilt that rationalize are holding to the particular concept of oneself, even though when Krishna, by his grace, exposes the, you know, the weakness of those conditions, even when it becomes exposed, that mechanism that may be within our conditioned self to rationalize that is something that we have to watch. And this is an example so graphic of this rationalization when it's connected to something so extreme that of this grandiose narcissistic trend that this demoniac propensity has. So we have to be very much watchful on that. Any comments or questions? Yes, Chandra Prabhu.
Thank you for the class. Um, yeah, it's a possible comment and a question. The comment that I was appreciating, you were just making this distinction between the Shiva Dwara and Banasura. And one of the things that I was thinking, maybe you can support it or not, or answer it to your own, however you see fit. I was thinking that one of the distinctions was that the Shiva Dwara, to me, it seemed to be more of an expansion of Shiva himself, um, just like Krishna's weapon. The counter weapon was an expansion. So, because Shiva was more apt to fight Krishna out of a service, the weapon was also engaged in that kind of consciousness. Whereas Banasura, also a disciple, but not an expansion, he is amassed, as you were reading, so much I've attained, so many enemies, so much I've given charity, all these demoniac qualities. Bana Sura, he's he's gifted with all these demoniac qualities. But on the same token, he's also devoted to Shiva. He has this devotion. But where he's blinded is the weapon of Shiva is not Asuric. And Panasura, he's in this Daitya clan. So I was just, if you can comment on that uh, aspect of it, this is just my observation. But I was looking at that also as this distinction.
Yeah, what I recall, I can look also for it. There was some comments on the Shiva Jwara that that when the Shiva Jwara was engaged in the battle with Krishna, when attacked, Krishna, it was, the description, it was running, there was this powerful weapon running towards Krishna to destroy him. So, and it is explained that as he's running and he's understanding his identity is as an invisible weapon, and nothing can come to face him. And that's the conception that this Shiva Jwara have. Different than Lord Shiva, although, is um, even if it's, the weapon Lord Shiva and is connected to Lord Shiva, and that is explained as a being in itself. And Lord Shiva was fully conscious of Krishna's position and very much in tune with Krishna's position. And as he's battling Krishna, he have that perfect understanding. But the Shiva Jwara doesn't appear to have that same type of understanding, because the Shiva Jwara was thinking of Krishna as a target and thinking, is to be destroyed. So, and when that mentality or that conception in itself face with Krishna's supremacy, then you can see that immediately that conception becomes dismantled, and then he takes it right. So in one sense, um, sometimes you see that these great personalities that are very much connected uh, with the spiritual master or even with Krishna, they may go to buy, you know, pastimes sometimes to appear to be cover. I mean, sometimes we hear on the pastime say of um, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that have to go to a whole process and then boom, he discovers the the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then the great Acharya then now fully manifests. Or even in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya that appears, as Nimai Pandit, and everybody was, oh, he's, a scholar and powerful, but then the connection with the spiritual master and the full manifestation. So sometimes these things take place, but the thing that I see here is that no, there's a difference in the understanding while fighting Krishna of Lord Shiva and the Shiva Jwara.
Follow up. So I follow that line, but something still kind of stuck in my mind about that the weapon of Shiva is not by nature, I mean, it's obedient to its master, but it's not by nature demoniac in terms of a subsequent personality. So therefore, when Krishna was able to neutralize because of some intelligentsia there, it can extrapolate. I'm, like you said, I'm made to be undefeated, but now I'm defeated. And because of that, I can see who the real power is versus a demon who is wrapped up into its false sense of self. I have so much, I have this, I have these, what is it, Sonetapura? I have this kingdom, I have this island, I have all these things. I come from this lineage. We're great warriors. I've been defeated already. And the thing you were mentioning about the embarrassment of my mother having to rescue me, and then Krishna already defeating me, I'm having to retreat. So now Banasura is in a state of I'm enraged because I'm defeated. I should not be defeatable. Um, I'm thinking that Shiva is the only one who's my match. How can this be? Whereas the weapon, it's simply engaged in the service.
Correct, yeah.
It doesn't have all these other extrapolated
Right.
conscious thinking about it. I, me, and mine. Aham, mamiti, all these things. It's just simply I'm here. I'm a weapon of my master, and this is all I'm going to do.
Right.
And then it sees that I'm I'm not superior because it only understands I'm a superior. What nothing can defeat me, and I'm defeated. Whereas Banasura, nothing can defeat me. I'm defeated, and now round two,
Yes,
round
yes,
three,
yes.
like that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, the Shiva Jwara didn't consider himself as the supreme. The Shiva Jwara considers Lord Shiva as supreme. He is my supreme master. You know, and so he was surrendered to Lord Shiva. This fellow didn't. This fellow considered Lord Shiva, like that. So that's a difference. Yes, yes, it's nice. And Jitendra Prabhu.
Oh, thank you. Krishna consciousness explains how to dismantle the false ego. I remember at the Evanston Temple there was a devotee named Sukra, and he took a piece of chalk and made a silhouette of a human being in front of the deities in the floor. and then he wrote on it false ego. And he would jump up and down during kirtan on that silhouette, false ego, you know. And that was one thing I remember. He was Shivaram Swami's close friend. And Shivaram Swami told me he left the movement. But I don't know, maybe that was, years ago. But I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting thing, how to dismantle your false ego. Jumping up and down on a chalk silhouette that said false ego. That just kind of came to mind.
Maybe we should do something like this here sometimes.
Pardon me?
Maybe we should do something like this, have our false ego stomping exercise.
The floor would be filled with it.
Yes.
Everybody's individual. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Krishnarchan, you have something?
I was thinking further on this discussion of the position of the Shiva Dvara and the particular ease with which the Shiva Dvara acknowledged Krishna's supremacy and position and understanding that he's the Supreme Lord, it seems an extension of his mentality towards Lord Shiva.
Yeah.
So hence the ease with which that transition was made. So it's very clear that it's the devotional mentality that permitted that. So then it immediately raises the question, Banasura's mentality, which, you described so elaborately, that, the question gets raised, where is the devotion? And I guess that particular point of the offense to his spiritual master is indicative of the devotion even to Lord Shiva, whatever is there, having been, what would be the word, cast aside in one sense, or he's blocked from the relationship.
Yeah. With the Shiva Dvara, you can see that, that type of devotion and that ease of understanding is because you can attribute that, and in our philosophy, you understand is you receive the blessings of the spiritual master. Jasya prasadam bhagavat prasadam jasya aprasadam nagati kutopi. You please your spiritual master, then you cannot please the personality of Godhead or connect to the personality of Godhead. You don't please your spiritual master. So the Shiva Dvara was doing his service and doing his service, 100%. I mean, his service was a weapon to destroy, and that was his service. So I'm the infallible destruction weapon of Lord Shiva that he uses when the whole universe have to be destroyed. So that's my service. That's who I am. And 100% I've been thrown against Krishna. Krishna will be destroyed. Like that. So, but it's that type of 100% dedicated to the service that is being given by his master. And then that type of surrender brings the blessings of the spiritual master, and the blessings of the spiritual master means that then now you receive the blessings of Krishna. Because the spiritual master will give us Krishna, because the whole prayers that we do in Guru Astaka, Shakshadarit Vinachamasta Shastra. The spiritual master is quite intimately connected to Krishna. So Lord Shiva is like that. So it's quite telling, this type of thing. We see it also in the pastime, in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes of Ishvara Puri and Ramachandra Puri. So Ishvara Puri served, his spiritual master selflessly and in perfect surrender, and Ramachandra Puri criticized his spiritual master. And then the end result was that one became the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya, one offended Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. So, like that. It's quite telling. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much. Grantara Shiman Bhagavatam ki jai.